You're a hot rock girl summer. Death by cringe. This book is depraved. Yeah, I'm reading the romance on the beach with the girls. You're walking through life. I don't trust Goodreads ratings because all you need to do is look at Colleen Hoover's Goodreads rating to know that you can't trust Goodreads. I just need to rot in my room. Can you just leave me alone? My queen, a Tessa Moshfegh. You know when you're on holiday and you're like, I want a certain type of book. A bit of a bad boy. Sit down. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm Ray, what Ray reads. Follow me on Instagram. Go on, yes you want to, you do. We're back for another video and today's video is hot girl summer or rock girl summer. What are you picking? Are you more of a rock girl summer, sitting in your bed, eating bags of crisps or chips if you're American, binge watching TV shows and reading dark and disturbing books? Or are you more of a hot girl summer where you're on the beach with the girlies, or you just want to read fun, quirky, light romance books and you're just down to be you and have a good time? Or are you a bit of both? You're a hot rock girl summer? Either way, I'm going to give you a reading list for both. So that's what we're doing. Mabel's joined us, she's having a hot girl summer. Aren't you gorge? So first off, I just want to say, obviously, this video's light-hearted. I'm not being serious. You can do what you want, be who you want. I'm just categorising these books so that it's like a theme. As I've said before, it's easier to work with a theme when you are picking out books. So that's what we're doing. So if you've clicked on the video out of curiosity and you're like, what's she even talking about? I feel like millennials and the Gen Z and the chronically online will know what I'm talking about.
Wait, is this about us?
But for those who don't, I'll give you a description. So your hot girl summer it was basically like coined by Megan Thee Stallion in one of her songs, I believe. And it's basically just a summer of fun. Maybe you can be a hoe.
Good for her.
Or maybe you just want to be with your girlies, have your hoe phase.
She's a slut and she knows it.
Or maybe you're just going to have your girly phase. And Megan Thee Stallion said it's just about being you.
I'm here to enjoy myself.
Having fun and not caring what anyone thinks. You're just kicking back, you're relaxing and you're just doing what you want. Not taking things too seriously and you just And now the rock girl summer is similar to your hot girl summer, but the only difference is it's for the girlies who just want to spend time indoors, preferably in the bedroom, in the bed, under the covers, with food, coffee. You're just like cutely rotting in your bedroom. I was rotting in my bedroom when I was unwell a few weeks ago, but that wasn't quite the rock girl summer I was after. It's like you're more aware of the fact that you're rotting. It's like, get out of my room, close the door on your way out and allow me to stay in my bed and not move and just read me weird little quirky books, and you may see me go downstairs for a snack. Sometimes we oscillate between two. Maybe one day we feel like we're in our hot girl summer era.
Okay, work.
And other times we're like, you know what? I just need to rot in my room. Can you just leave me alone? Introvert problems, am I right? It's like when someone comes in my room, I'm just like, why are you here? So anyway, let's get into the books. What a loser. So first up's our hot girl summer books. These are books for the people who just want to kick back, have a good time, lean into the beach read. You know when you're on holiday and you're like, I want a certain type of book, but I don't want it to be too serious. I want it to be kind of fun and just maybe something a little romantic, funny, a little bit light. Ultimately something that'll hook you in and you can read. It's a page turner. It's quite a quick read and you can just take it to the beach, throw it in your bag. So I've picked 5 books for each and I think these would be great holiday reads, beach reads, sunny day in the park reads, or if you're luckier than me and you're going on holiday, take these with you because I won't be going, will I? So the first book is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and I read this a few months ago now. It's like my spring read and it was the first book of Ann Patchett that I've read after seeing a few people saying that they really enjoyed her work, and it's like a sweet book and it's very nostalgic. It's set on a cherry farm in Michigan and it's about a family, a woman and a husband, and they've got 3 daughters who've like come of age. They're in their early 20s and I think it's set during like COVID, so the lockdown down on the farm, and the daughters are asking the mum to tell them stories, and she tells them about the time that she had like a summer fling with a now famous actor, and it's very sweet and nostalgic. It's a reflective book of what could have been, the one that got away, and it feels very spring summer because the setting's in summer at like a theatre camp where she's gone to work, because not only did she nearly have a relationship with this now famous actor, she also turned away from a career as an actor herself. It's touching, but it's relatable, it's cutesy, and I just think it's the perfect book to put in your bag and take on holiday with you, and I think different age ranges would probably like it as well. So there's your first one. The next book is a book that's on my TBR. I haven't read it yet, but I thrifted it on Vinted, and it's called The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. And as I said, this is one I've yet to read, but it comes to me highly recommended by someone that I trust on Bookstagram. And this seems like a sweet romance, but it's set in reality, which is what I need to sort of get into romance. It's got to have like a realistic element. When they start being like unrealistic, I'm just like,
no, thank you.
Because as I've said on the channel before and in other videos, I'm a bit picky with romance because it can either make me roll my eyes or it can give me the ick. So we follow Anna, who achieves accidental viral success on YouTube, and she kind of gets burnout after trying to ride that wave and continue it by creating more and more viral videos or live that success more. And I know a lot of creators suffer with burnout because you're creating content on a consistent scale regularly, and most people upload weekly, don't they? So it's not very long in a life of a video to plan it and create it and edit it, so that's relatable. But things get even more complicated when her long-term partner says he wants to be in an open relationship.
Not on my watch!
So she has to deal with the complex feelings of that, and she's like, do I want to be in an open relationship? And then she's like, oh fine, I suppose I will be in one. But ultimately this leads to her going on her own self-discovery, and she meets someone that seems more compatible with her, who's a bit of a bad boy.
Oh, we all like a bad boy though, don't we?
Well, he rides a motorcycle, so bad boy. This sounds like a hot girl summer book. It's like, yeah, I'm reading the romance on the beach with the girls. And it's got a rom-com element, which she loves. And it's just ticking the boxes of wanting to have a good time with the book. So there's your next one. Next, we've got You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. The only Emily Henry book I haven't read. I've read all of her other books. She's pretty much like the only romance writer that I vibe with, because usually romance gives me the ick or makes me cringe to death, if that's possible. Death by cringe. But I think this is the same as People We Meet on Vacation, but it's just a different title. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know why they do that. Why do they change the title based on like the area? And as you know, I love Emily Henry. It's always will they, won't they. It's funny, it's light, and it's also set in reality, which we like. And the female protagonists, they feel very realistic and dynamic and complex. So this book follows Alex and Poppy, who are lifelong best friends, and each summer they go on a vacation or a holiday if you're from the UK. A summer vacation, but 2 years ago something happened and it changed the dynamic, and they've not really been as close as they once was. But Poppy has something that she needs to tell Alex, and she says, listen Alex, let's just for old time's sake go on one last holiday. And she wants to lay out everything she's got to say on the table. It sounds cute. It's given will they, won't they, which, I was hopping on board for that. So sign me up. Ideally, I would prefer to go on holiday to read it, but, that's not in the cards for me at the moment. So next, we've got, I need to stop touching my hair, I can't help it, Teddy by Emily Dunlay. And this is another book I haven't read, but it got sent to me kindly by a publisher, and it's given late 1960s Italian Riviera European holiday. Set in Rome, we follow the free-spirited wife of an American diplomat. Abel's getting ahead down. And she enjoys the glitz and glamour of Rome and the nightlife and the fun that comes with it. And one night she's caught on camera in the arms of another man. and she has to do everything in her power to stop the images and the truth of it getting out because it could destroy her and her husband's lives. Now tell me you don't want to be soaking up the sun on the Italian Riviera or on the beach somewhere reading this book. I'll wait, because, you know, that's where I want to be. It's kind of the settings making me think of The Talented Mr. Ripley, you know, the film adaptation. Great film. And then the final book on the Hot Girl Summer reading list is another book I was actually sent, and it seems like a fun, quirky read, and that is How to Leave the House by Nathan Newman. I was literally engrossed from the blurb, which I'll read to you now. It's Nat West's last day before he leaves for university, and there's only one thing on his mind: the deeply embarrassing package he ordered to his house, which still hasn't arrived, and he won't leave town without it. Any alternative is too distressing to consider. I'm hooked. So it says that this book's told from the perspective of Nat West, the protagonist, and also the perspective of other characters around and in his life, I believe. Weirdly, Nat West is a bank in the UK, so I can't help but think about that. This is said to be funny, tender, and shockingly funny. Did I just say funny twice? Well, you're getting it twice, so funny. About being connected to everything and everyone at all times. Sounds like a hoot. So those were some Hot Girl Summer reads that I think you might like to check out if you want to have your laid back, quirky Hot Girl Summer and you're just going about your day, going about your life, you're walking through life, just having a good time. You're just down to have a good time. Hopefully there's something in there for you. But if you're like, I'm not really into those, well, I've got you covered, because we're about to get into the Rock Girl Summer books. So your Rock Girl Summer books are more like darker, weirder, complex, to be read in bed or on the couch, just rotting and lounging. When I just said rotten there in the UK. Actually, is it in the UK or is this just a Scouse thing? Liverpudlian slang. Rotten is like someone would say, oh, she was rotten last night. That means that you were really drunk. So there's a little slang lesson for you there. So the first book is Lapvona by my queen, Atessa Moshfegh. Now, if you're new to the channel, I love Atessa Moshfegh. If not, then you already know. I stan her.
Just having
She always writes dark and weird, dryly funny characters, rather unlikable characters, I'd say. And I don't think in her work, I don't think it gets any weirder than this book. Like, I was reading it and I couldn't stop reading, but also this was my face reading it. Set in a medieval village, we follow Marek, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, a motherless young boy whose father is an abusive shepherd. I really feel sorry for him as well, poor thing. One of the comforts he finds is in the local midwife who breastfed him as a child, and she strangely breastfed most of the village as well.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god!
And she's got like witchy elements about her. There's like a era of witchiness around her, but you know, that could be the time as well, because you know, any woman with thoughts was a witch. There's also like a collective obsession with religion in the village, and that obviously controls a lot of the things and the way people think and behave. And they're kind of under the rule of thumb of the local priest, Father Barnabas, who appeases and basically pushes out the rules and desires of a local lord who's living an extravagant life full of riches in his little castle at the top of the town, and all the peasants are at the bottom, you know, the scum, the common folk. But one day the two worlds come together when Marek comes into contact with someone in the Lord's inner circle. This book is depraved. It's weird, it's shocking, it's gross, it's cruel, and it's a bit sad at times as well. And it's really one of the most bizarre books I've read. And I think Atessa Moshfegh was really trying to push the boundaries with the characters and their actions. Will you feel shocked reading it? Perhaps. But you'll definitely be having a Rock Girl Summer. And if you do read it, or if you have read it, I'm just going to leave this here. Grapes. I'll say no more. The next book is Brutes by Diz Tate, and this is a book I read last year in the summer, I believe, and I was like really enamoured with it. It's heavy on imagery, this book, and vibes. No plot, just vibes. But you know, sometimes we just want a book with vibes. Said to be the Florida Project meets the Virgin Suicides, and I definitely got the Virgin Suicides, Sofia Coppola aesthetic throughout the book. It's got a lot of very feminine imagery, which I absolutely lived for. I felt transported to the place, and it really encaptures girlhood with the main group of friends who are the protagonists. It's a coming of age story really of girlhood, set against the backdrop of like a swampy Florida summer and a small town, and the group of 13-year-old girls are all very close and involved in each other's lives, but they're also up to no good, you know, the way you want to kind of be older than you are, but you're also still a child, but you want to get involved in things that like aren't appropriate. And this leads the girls to like start sneaking around and looking into things, especially after a local preacher's daughter goes missing and a girl who they were kind of like enamoured with. They start somewhat investigating it themselves and looking into mysterious and seedy dealings in the town. Although it's set against the backdrop of like a darker subject matter, this book really encapsulates girlhood, and the dynamic between the friends really reminded me of a French film that I love called Girlhood, and that's a real great exploration about a group of French girls who are coming of age, and it just really encapsulates what it's like being like a teenage girl, the joys and the horrors that come with it, both the book and the film. This is quite a divisive book. I've seen people who loved it, me and a few others, but the Goodreads rating's quite low. But you know, I don't trust Goodreads ratings, because all you need to do is look at Colleen Hoover's Goodreads rating to know that you can't trust Goodreads. No, Goodreads is done by popularity. That's what you need to remember. Something to think about. But if you're interested in airy, vibe-centred plotlight, I think you'd enjoy this. Next, we've got kind of like a darkly funny book about a young woman who works as a cosmetician in her family's mortuary business, and they have a funeral home, and her job makes her have a different understanding about death and loss, and it makes her kind of removed from people her own age, and she has like a limited social circle, and she's kind of used to like the darker themes of life, but then when something happens to her mum, it sends her into a bit of a tailspin, and she starts seeking out dark, unsavoury and dangerous behaviours, meeting people online and having casual hookups and getting herself into dangerous situations. And one night she ends up in a Tasmanian BDSM club.
Well, there it is.
And it comes to a head when she gets herself in a particularly dodgy situation, and she needs to ask herself questions about what she's experiencing and acknowledge that she's struggling. This book's dark, it's deadpan, it's got black humour, but it's got a unique take on death and sort of the afterlife. This is another divisive book, but I think it deals with sort of darker themes that I think you'd like to read whilst rotting in your bed. Okay, next we've got Mother in the Dark by Kayla Mowry, and this author kindly sent me the book. I read it last year and I absolutely loved it. It was one of my favourites from last year because it's got a very unique take on mother-daughter relationships, family dynamics, and also class dynamics, specifically when you leave a class that you were born and raised in, a working class background, and then you sort of are infused in a new class dynamic. Milo. Hello, Milo. And you feel like completely lost and out of place. You don't feel like you fit in. And it's about the mother-daughter dynamic, and it's somewhat about how those relationships impact us, especially if they're laced with trauma. And they affect our relationships for the rest of our lives. And it alternates between the protagonist in a childhood and now while she's an adult in New York, and she's kind of realising that those past memories and her life has led to the way she behaves now, and she has to sort of face it. As I said, I love this book and I found it very moving and one of a kind in the way that it deals with class, family, and finding, or shall I say, reflecting on how that impacts you in your adult life. So yeah, check that out. It's a great, pretty sure it's a debut novel. And then the final book in the reading list is Night Crawling by Layla Motley, and this is a book that I read a few years ago now, but it still stayed with me, and it's set in it's set in Oakland in California. Hello. He really wants to be a part of it for this one. So this one is set in Oakland in California, and we follow Kiara, who's struggling to make ends meet. She's in poverty, she can't find work. She's living with a brother who's kind of gone off and he's trying to make his dreams of becoming a rapper come true, and she's kind of left with the responsibility of trying to not get them kicked out of the apartment complex. And she befriends a neighbourhood boy. He lives in one of the apartments near her. He's 9 years old and his mother's gone missing and he's been left alone, and she kind of takes him under her wing and looks out for him so he doesn't get kicked out of the apartment or taken by child protection services. And one night when she's out late at night, there's a misunderstanding by a stranger, and she ends up kind of, due to being desperate for money, getting involved in sex work, and she starts working that job to try and make ends meet because she simply can't get a job any other way, and she's desperate for money, which, you know, a lot of people get involved in that line of work due to desperation. And she refers to it as night crawling because, you know, she's essentially out there at night. And through her night's work, and one night she has a CD running with members of law enforcement. Oh, there's loads of dogs barking. They're all barking at each other. And she sort of gets the reality of the seedy underbelly of the city and the corruption that is going on within local law enforcement and the police department. And due to a certain encounter, she ends up becoming a star witness in a case against the police. And this book's it's very gripping, but it's also like a poignant take on poverty, class and race, and how people with very limited options when they become desperate, they end up getting involved in certain groups of people that, you know, think it's okay to abuse the position because they know that they're desperate. And I found it very touching and upsetting as well. Yeah, that's a great book to read just in general. So yeah, there's the Rock Girl summer books. That's your 10 books to have, you know, both. You want a rock girl and a hot girl, you're a bit of both. And like I said, hopefully there's something there that piqued your interest and you're like, you know what, I'm going to check that out because Rachel told me to.
Thanks a lot, you idiot. Thanks a lot, Rachel. Thanks a lot.
Let me know if you have read any of them. As always, leave me book recommendations. You know she can't get enough. Don't forget to support the channel. Like, comment and subscribe. I appreciate you all. Thanks for clicking on the video. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.